Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons in context to Stranger Things, Season 1, Episode 2, The Weirdo on Maple Street. And we're going to talk about Joyce Byers smoking. All right? All right, so let's dive into this. I've completed this Dungeon Master viewing of Stranger Things, and when you look at Stranger Things from the perspective of a Dungeon Master, it is shocking the lessons that exist there, put in there by the Duffer Brothers, in my humble opinion, to aid Dungeon Masters and to guide Dungeon Masters and to direct Dungeon Masters. All right, so let's talk about this. So we're in season 1, episode 2, The Weirdo on Maple Street, and Will Byers is missing now. I also just want to say, let's take a minute to look at this. Right, you're in season 1, episode 2. Will Byers is already missing, right? And they've already done the first town search for Will Byers, right? And you got this situation where you really are. It's pretty incredible. It is pretty incredible. At the pace of the show, is very fast. All right, so there's so Will is gone, and we're at the Byers home, and I will tell you right now, I'm astounded at what a great job the Duffer Brothers did in portraying the Byers family. And I think I think I wanted to say that my family was like the Byers, but that's not exactly true. The Byers had even less than my family had. The Byers are so. What is the Byers family? Right? It's Will and his brother, Jonathan. Is it Jonathan Byers? Yeah, I think so. Um, and um, and Joyce, right? And Lonnie, the dad, is gone. The father has abandoned his two children and his wife, and so works at a Joyce works at a pharmacy, a small town pharmacy, right? And she literally just rings up, and she doesn't, she's not even on the pharmacy side. She just rings people up for whatever item they're buying in this, it's like a pharmacy that's also like um, a convenience store, right? And so she doesn't make almost anything, and her house it's not dirty, right? It's not even cluttered. It's just ragged and old, right? And but she really loves these kids, right? And she is doing everything she can to give them a good world, even though their father is doing everything he can to destroy them, like just virtually slice their throats, right? Like he is gutting them, right? Like he's like, hey, I brought you into this world. I don't care about you. Like, you suck. Not even your own dad will show up for you. So every day, Will and Jonathan just wake up to like the worst situation you could have as a child, like where you're like, well, one parent loves me, but one doesn't, right? And that's got to be an abominable situation. And I have to say, I'm incredibly blessed. I never dealt with that situation, but there are literally millions of people today where they have to wake up and be like, one of my parents did not care enough to show up every day, right? That's astounding. Like, it's so bad, right? So Will's missing, and Joyce is just smoking and smoking and smoking. Like, they show an ashtray, and it's real. You could tell that Winona Ryder smoked at one point in her life. I don't know if she still smokes. It's extremely, and this is the entire point, right? Smoking is like almost unheard of in the D&D world, in the D&D community, right? And the reason why is, like, anybody who'd be attracted to any game that takes that the ante to start it is 1,000 pages of reading. You're like, hey, you want to do this thing? Sure. Well, what's it take to get involved? Read 1,000 pages. That's just the first 3 books. Like, that doesn't even cover a single setting, right? Like, it's the most basic start. And by the way, it just went up. It's $11.50 now with the new core rule books. So no one who has that kind of like intelligence is ever going to smoke, because only Smoking is unwise. It is an outrageously foolish action, right? But the Duffer Brothers put her here to kind of draw this line of the world is blue collar and white collar, right? And white collar, you will never see it. I was listening to Slate Political Gabfest, and they're like, and the three hosts were like, do we know a single person who smokes? Do any of us have a single friend who smokes? And they didn't. They were like, no, like, no, I don't know anybody. Like, it's unthinkable, right? But the Duffer Brothers are like, in this world, there really are people who smoke. And if they do, you are looking at a different way of life, right? And the Duffer Brothers are like, we're not going to give you the safety to think that the whole world is like you, right? Like, and Joyce is not. She is not like Will, right? Like, she doesn't understand anything genre, right? Like, she doesn't. It's actually, she understands. She would have the ability, but she doesn't care enough to understand anything of genre. And it's profound. It's really profound, right? And really, really fascinating, right? Absolutely fascinating, right? But I think it's really important to understand why Joyce Byers is in here. Is the Duffer Brothers are telling Dungeon Masters, we know you're all white collar. Right? Like, yeah, there's a couple exceptions. At the macro level, you're white collar, but the world has blue collar. It's really fascinating. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.